Oh, I mean, I don't smoke cigarettes, but man, I might need one after that one. That was what a turn of emotions all the way through those last couple innings. Chance to walk it off there. Thought we walked it off maybe on the base hit, and then loading the bases, and then you get a 3-1 count. And it's like this game's over, and then you don't get it done there with one of your better hitters, and Toby comes up and flies out, and then you go give up a 2 spot, and you're like, man, what a chain of emotions. And then you come back and put up a 6 spot to walk it off with the same guy that, baseball is a beautiful game sometimes, and it treats you great sometimes, and it humbles the heck out of you at other times. But tonight it was one of those poetic endings you can't make that stuff up. So pretty cool. Just super proud of the resiliency, I guess, of our guys. At the end of the day, down 2, going in the 10th, the dugout was like, we're winning this game. Let's go. There was no quit. There was no sense of we're not winning this game. Like we're winning this game. Somebody get on. We're winning. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Eamon Lance with a huge at bat, getting down 0-2, and I scratched my head, going, man, I told you to look for the heater. You got 2 of them right down the middle. What are we doing? But he knew what he was doing, I guess. Had a great at bat, and then we got a little gift from above, I think, on the pop up to the catcher, and he slipped, and I guess the grass might have been dewy, which was great. But then regardless of that, just the at bat after that Stephen Ondina put together, and pretty special. And then obviously Nick McLean comes up with a couple guys being walked in front of him, and I know probably carrying the weight of thinking he should have won it, earlier, and walking it off with a grand slam. I'm like, man, what an ending to that one. That was pretty special. So
you say you saw it, you thought you had it in the bottom of the 9th. Camp was a single. Would you disagree with Goff holding Demers?
Absolutely not. Goffey did the right thing there. We got in our mind, candidate for the Golden Spikes coming up, with Keegan and Vu. I say that tongue in cheek, but he's just as absolutely been on fire. You got that kid coming up with Nick McLean behind him and Toby behind him. Like, unless you're 100% sure, you hold him up right there and let one of those guys, all you need is a fly ball and you win. I don't question that call at all. I think Goffey did the right thing. 2020 hindsight, you're like, gosh, dang, you should have sent him, and he was in the dugout going, man, I should have sent him, I guess. I said, no, you shouldn't have. You're fine. Like, hey, ball was right at him. Demera didn't get a great read out of the box, kind of hesitated a split second, which, like I said, you got Vu, who's been on fire. You got Mac behind him. You got Toby behind him. The odds are in our favor to get it done right there. We just didn't. That's okay.
How much of an asset can his resurgence be, specifically as you finish up the season here? It's no doubt the biggest point of the season with the regular season and postseason coming up. How much of an asset will Nick's resurgence be to the team if he can keep it going?
Well, I think you guys know what Nick McLean's capable of doing, right? And we all do, and so does he. And I think that's where he puts a little too much pressure on himself at times to be that guy. And if he just relaxes and just goes and plays and uses his God-given abilities, it's going to take over. It's just a matter of time. And that was just pretty cool tonight for him. Couldn't happen to a greater kid. Just really happy for him.
Having now won 8 of your last 9, how do you put into perspective this one game at a time mentality and how it kind of comes through in this moment of urgency tonight to pull through in the face of adversity?
I think it's credit goes to the players, man. They're buying into what the Kool-Aid we're serving, and it's really we're not serving much. We're just letting them go play, and that's kind of been the motto as of late, man. Just go play, trust yourself, and go play, and it's been working. And sometimes as a head coach, you got to take a step back, and obviously I'm learning as I go. My mentality is harder. Let's go push. With this group, it's, hey man, you just got to go play. Let your God-given abilities take over and go out and play and do your thing. Maybe I got to take the throttle back a tick and just let them go do it. And we've done that as of late, and they've excelled tremendously. So that's on the players. The positive part is on the players. They're taking it and running with it and doing great things that we haven't done yet this year. But they also believe and know that they're capable of doing something special and writing the script here at the end of the season when everybody wrote us off. And to me, that's pretty cool. So the longer we can keep this dream alive, you never know. Just take one at a time. You can't look ahead, but I think we all believe in there that something special can happen.
Over this 8-1 stretch, this is the second game that didn't even end in safe territory, but was for a while. Well, how comforting is it for you to know that while you've been blowing some teams out lately, you can pull out a nail-biter like this one too?
Well, I think that the way we won this game is huge, right? To where we had no business winning that game. We did at the beginning, and we just kind of gave it away. When their Friday night starter goes out after a hitter and a half, it's like, hey, we're looking pretty good. Their number one guy is out after a hitter. Like, man, we got to take advantage of that. And we did in the first, put up a 4 spot, but then we just kind of went flat, like this game's over type thing. And to kind of give that back a little bit, and you could just kind of feel in the middle innings, after we just started having simple innings offensively, where it's a 4-pitch inning, I think, and first pitch outs where we're just not locked in, you just kind of felt the momentum shift, and it's like, man, we can't throw this one away. I mean, they gave it to us on, not intentionally, but on a platter with their number one guy going down early. We got to take advantage of that, right? And we give it back, but then, like I said, all the ebbs and flows of this game, and to come out on top, I mean, that's pretty cool. Where the guys don't fold, when it's had every intention or had every reason to fold if you make excuses and start pointing fingers, but they battled together and pulled it out, which was pretty cool.
You mentioned the middle innings. And through 4, it looked like Ben Jacobs was maybe on track for his best start, maybe ever, 4 no-hit innings, and then he kind of ran into trouble. Was there anything that you saw from him that kind of switched between those 4th and 5th innings?
No, I think he just made a couple mistakes that they got, and that happens, right? You can be cruising and you make a mistake over the middle of the plate. I think the 9-hole guy, DeCarlo, he hit the snot out of that ball, and when Benny came in, he said, "I was middle. I just missed my spot," and he got his money's worth. That ball was tattooed, right? And he made a couple mistakes there in the 5th and then in the 6th that bit him a little bit. But all in all, Benny threw the ball great. I thought there was a couple little mistakes here and there, but that cost him. But all in all, he did what he's supposed to do. He gave us some length, kept us in the game, and left with the lead. He did what he was supposed to do.
Losing your set run of games speaks for yourself, but having to walk in back-to-back innings, what was running through your mind when that happened, when you saw him make that decision? And for you, how much more does that put into perspective his ability to just turn it up now in this later stage of the season?
I think if they're walking somebody to get to Nick McLean, I'm happy, right? And again, I just, with those 3 or 4 batters at the top of our lineup, it's like pick your poison. Mac he's not gonna roll over. He's gonna get it done at some, he's gonna start getting going. You got, pick your poison with Campy. If you don't want him, then they had every situation, the same situation to walk Campy, and they didn't, and then Campy gets the base hit, right? And then they decide to walk Vu and pitch to Mac the first time, and then they do it again the second time, and is that right, wrong, and different? I wouldn't question it. What JK was doing, it's like, hey man, Kean Vu is arguably one of the best players in the country right now. So do you pitch to that guy, or do you walk him and pitch to a guy that's very talented, but I don't question it, but I do have confidence that Nick McLean's going to get it done. But yeah, I think to answer your question, Vu's he's been on fire. I don't know how else to explain it. The kid just continues to produce and hit, and any situation that's been thrown at him, he just continues to get it done.
This team, at different points in the season, has not always had the counterpunch like they showed tonight. How have they been able to find that fight and belief they showed in that late game heroics?
That's on them. I'm not taking credit for it. Coaches ain't taking credit for it. That's on the players. At some point in time, you can sit up here and talk all you want, but and I've talked all I could talk, but at some point in time, it's on the players to say, yeah, okay, we're going to do this thing, or coach has lost his mind. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I think at the end of the day, regardless of what they think or say, they are starting to believe in there that they can do this thing. And that's when you become dangerous. So I think I like the situation. I don't love the situation we're in, but I like the mentality and the vibe that's going on in that clubhouse right now without the coaches being in there. That just, hey, man, that's your guys' locker room. You guys are running with it, and you're playing your game, and you guys are starting to run the show down there, which is kind of what I've always wanted. And to me, it's kind of fun to see.
Nick said the 10th inning homer was a bit of a muni home run, so maybe take that with a grain of salt in terms of Schieffer's performance. How do you feel like he threw the ball today?
Yeah, maybe been a muni homer, but what do you say about the pop up to right that carried out of the ballpark in the 10th?
That's what I was talking about.
Right? Like, I mean, if you're going to take that one, then you take Nick McLean's, right? Like, at the end of the day, this is the ballpark we played in all year. We get it. It's a tough place to pitch. And you get forgiveness as an offensive player at times, right? To where you hit a ball and you're trotting around the bases. This is our muni, right? And we embrace it. We understand that, hey, man, you're as a pitcher, you got to have a thick skin because you could make a good pitch and still have a bad result, and it's okay. Schieffer, I think, threw the ball just fine tonight, and off the bat, Ibarra, hits the pop up, and I honestly thought Mac was going to have to come in on that ball, and I'm like, he's got to maybe take a step back, and then he just kept going and going and going, and next thing you know, you're down 2. I'm like, gosh dang. We've had our fair share of our own luck, at our home, so I'm not going to complain, but that's just the ballpark we play in. And regardless of whether you love it or hate it, hey, man, we're going to embrace it. And offensively, as a pitching staff, we embrace it too. And we know that, hey, if you can pitch here, you can pitch anywhere. And there's going to be times where your numbers don't reflect really how well you've done from time to time. And what it does is it builds character and it builds mindset, and it makes sure you don't make too many mistakes. Otherwise, you give up big numbers. So, and at the end of the day, we love hearing the chirping from the other dugouts when those pitchers come in here and go, you hear them. That should have been an out. Well, yeah, this is our Muni, man. Welcome to Muni, right? We get to play in this every day, so I don't want to hear about numbers and pitching stats here. Just we're going to go compete.
Do you think that this kind of served as a little bit of a microcosm of how the season's gone, where you've consistently been dealt a good amount of big blows in terms of losing a lot of games and then having a good deal of injuries that have caused you to totally rework this lineup? You think it kind of served as a microcosm tonight that you guys just continued to perform no matter the circumstance?
Well, I think that's what you try to preach, regardless of I guess, results or who's in and who's out. It's like you have what you have today is an opportunity to go perform and play your best, play the way we're capable of playing. And like I've said before, and maybe they're starting to take it to heart, is let's not worry about the results so much as just worrying about representing who you are and what we stand for. And tonight I kind of get emotional, but it was, yeah, we represented tonight pretty well. Not because we played pretty, not because we played great, but they didn't quit. They kept on grinding, they kept battling, and they broke through. And that, like I said, for me, that's pretty cool.
The last 2 weeks with these big Pac-12 series wins, how do you think the team overall is representing this program right now?
I hope people take a look at it and say, you know what? At times this season hasn't been pretty, but these boys are playing their butts off. They're playing hard. And just when you count us out, we still got a heartbeat and we're still here. And don't let the Devils get hot, which we're starting to get hot.
You mentioned
To kind of
being written
remind you.
off. How much do you think that drives those guys in there? How much do you think they pay attention to stuff like the RPI and things that, measure postseason projections and things of that nature?
I hope they don't, because at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't, ultimately, I guess it matters in the end, but what matters is how you go perform on the field. That's my job to worry about that. That's hockey's job to, fill me in on what's going on with that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, you can't control it. You go control what you can out there on the field. And I think these guys are embracing that. And hey, I've been written off before plenty of times in my career. And to me, that's, I guess, why I get a little bit emotional and proud of these guys is like, yeah, a lot of people wrote us off, but you're either 2 feet in or you're 2 feet out. And when we get this thing right, there's going to be a lot of people that wish they were on board the whole time and gone through the battles and the grinds that we've had to go through in there and listen to the stuff that's going on. I get it. I understand that. But the facts are these guys live it every day, and they grind it every day, and they battle every day. Regardless of what's being said or the results, hey, they're the ones showing up every day and getting after it, regardless of what people say. And so that's what I guess as a head coach makes me really proud of them, that, hey, they're not listening to it, or they are, and they're responding in a way that, as a Sun Devil fan, you should be damn proud of these guys, the way they're responding and continuing to grind. Regardless of what happens these next 9 games, they're giving everything they got, and it's been pretty fun to watch.
Let's talk about tonight being a little emotional. It looks like you got a little extra choked up when you were talking about Nick. Why is that?
Well, he's a great kid. I care about all these guys. And I know Nick hasn't performed the way he wants to perform as far as numbers are concerned. And I know Nick McLean knows he's a great player. We all do. And sometimes when you put that extra pressure on yourself that you got to be the guy and you're not getting it done, you get kind of frustrated. But I see how he has turned over a new leaf as far as the work ethic is concerned. And this game is sometimes, even though you can, has turned, like I said, it is working harder than he's ever worked, but hasn't gotten the results. And sometimes that gets, like I said, this game will humble the heck out of you and discourage you and knock you on your butt. But he continues to grind. And like I said, talk about, knocking you down when you have a chance to walk it off right there in the 9th and you don't, and everyone's counting on you to do it, and God, we got our guy up, and you don't get it done, and you don't, and then you come back and do get it done the next time. God dang, that's pretty dang special. That's why I get emotional, because it's like, man, that's the script that you try to write, is do you bounce back from adversity that we talk about all the time? And he did tonight. That was encompassed the whole thing tonight in that one at bat. And I know what he's going through, and I know what a good player he is, and I know that was a special moment regardless of what anybody says, and I just am really happy for him.
This has been your 3rd year. How much, putting everything into perspective, have these 3 years been character building for the program to go forward? You guys have gone through staff, players, everything.
Nothing has been easy in these 2.5, 3 years so far. Nothing has been easy, but I do know when this dam breaks and we start rolling, it's going to be awful gratifying. And when that happens, maybe it's starting to right now, I don't know. But when it happens and when this thing turns in our direction and the Sun Devils start rolling, it's going to be pretty damn cool. Just because of all this adversity that we've had to go through the first 2+ years here. I believe it. I think the players believe it. And when it happens, it's going to be fun.
I know that you talked about the tenacity tonight, and I'm sure you saw that Pat Murphy was, boisterous, his usual self over the weekend. You talked about how he kind of helped you guys fight as a team. Does this team, the way that they played the last 2 weeks, kind of remind you of some of the teams that you used to play for when you were here?
First of all, I've been loving watching the Brewers. College baseball, you can't clear the benches, but I think the Brewers may have set a record for most bench clears here in the first few weeks of a season, which does not surprise me in any way, shape, or form. Murph will keep being Murph, and his boys will follow him just how he continues to lead, and that's pretty cool to watch all that happen. But yeah, to answer your question, this team eerily reminds me of another team that I was on, and I don't want to go down that direction just yet, but if you kind of take a look at the parallels of that season, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And I've kind of got some advice from Murph too on that, to where, yeah, I'm just pulling the throttle back. I can't want it so much. I just got to let them go play, and to their credit, they're responding to that. So maybe it's that type of team. Something special could happen. You never know.